guys, it's another day and I forgot the external microphone. We are out here at the trailer and I left the refrigerator running all night. It's been about 22 hours or so since I was last here, and I left the refrigerator going and the power turned on with the solar panel, so I'm really curious to see what the battery level is going to be after recharging from the solar all day just with that one 200 watt panel that's there. So let's peek in the trailer really quick and see what the refrigerator temperature is. All right, I very helpfully left the refrigerator thermometers right here next to the door, and that is right where they should be at, just about 40 degrees and just about 1 degree. So 40 in the fridge, 1 in the refrigerator. And it's probably 75 in the trailer today. Oh yeah. Perfect. Cool. All right, this is the LI Time app on my phone connected to the battery, and it's fully charged and on standby. So I don't think the refrigerator is running right now. Let's check the Victron app and see what the solar panel is doing. All right, here is the Victron app, and the solar panel is doing basically nothing. The battery is fully charged and the refrigerator is not on. So cool. Whatever the battery used overnight, the solar panel was able to catch up today. Probably I need to count on a 200 watt, at least 200 watts of the panel to power the 200 watts of the solar system to panel the fridge. I need to count on at least 200 watts of the solar panels to power the fridge. There we go. We got it. All right, and we can see the history here. The solar panel yielded 620 watt hours. If that'll, I don't know if that'll even focus. But the solar panel yielded 620 watt hours. Its maximum production was 150 watts. So yeah, put in a lot of power today. Whoa, the wind just blew the door closed. But yeah, put in a lot of power today. So that's pretty cool. All right, guys, it's pretty windy, and since I did not bring the microphones, I'm just going to set you up so you can watch what I'm going to be doing today. We're going to be finishing installing these power cables that I worked on yesterday, hopefully, and then I'm going to see if I can reuse some of the cables from the Micro Mini for like the solar charge controller and stuff to get over to the bus bars. So that's what I'm going to be doing, but there's not going to be a lot of talking today because it's so windy, and once again, no microphone. That's that. Cool. These are the same cables I used in the Micro Mini for this 100 amp 50 watt solar charge controller. So I'm going to be reusing them because they are plenty long. I'm not going to cut them down right now because I need to get the other solar charge controller mounted over here first before I can kind of route the wires. But I need to be ready to bypass the... I need to be more ready than I am now in order to disconnect the 30 amp solar charge controller from the current roof solar panel. So for now, we're just gonna get these connected where they're supposed to go, and then I'm just gonna leave them kind of coiled up here. Okay. There's negative, positive, and this is a 60 amp fuse for the 50 amp charge controller. Then I got a 40 amp fuse for the 30 amp charge controller that's gonna go right here. Next we need this guy, so he can go there, and then this one will go right here. Those will be plenty long enough to come over here and wrap around the lower charge controller and then go into the upper charge controller right there. So those are done. I'm going to need a second set of these at some point for the other solar charge controller, but I got to be further along in the process than I am now. I think the next project for tomorrow or sometime this weekend is going to be drilling the hole in the floor over here to pass the ground cable down and then get the 110 wiring from the inverter down underneath the trailer so I can run it back into the OEM fuse panel converter box. That's it, back in the back. So not much getting done today, just a couple of little things because it's windy. Catch you guys when I come back out here. All right guys, new day, new projects out on the trailer. Today we are out here to drill holes. Specifically, we are going to drill a 4-inch hole using this 4-inch Milwaukee hole dozer in the floor of the pass-through right over there, probably directly underneath that second links distribution bar. So right here-ish. So this is the cable pass-through that I will be installing in the floor. You can see it's got a brushed top, and then underneath it's got some rubber material there to kind of hold the cables. So I didn't want to fuss around with having a hole that was too small for all the cables that I want to pass through, because eventually I'm also going to be passing through some solar cabling and stuff to run outside. So I think this 4-inch cable pass-through will be plenty sufficient. All right, guys, sorry for the abrupt ending to that last clip, but I got a call back from the RV warranty fix-it people, and we figured out why this disconnect wasn't working. I'll go show you guys that in a minute. As you can see, it is turned on, and we've got light in here, but if I turn it off, no more light. So now it's working as it's supposed to. And the reason for that is these two wires coming into the RV fuse block here were installed incorrectly. They needed to be swapped. We tested and verified with a multimeter, and power was coming in on the one that's not supposed to, and when that switch was off, so we just flipped them, and now everything works like it should. So we've got power everywhere where we're supposed to with that switch on, and it turns off and it cuts off everything inside the coach. That's exactly how the disconnect in the Micro Mini worked, actually. So as long as you have a battery out there, some external things will work, like the tongue jack should still go up and down, the solar charge controller will still keep the battery topped off, but it just cuts off power to the inside of the coach. So like I've said, I am not an electrician. I know just enough to get myself in trouble sometimes. So I didn't even think about coming to look at the converter panel. Plus I read the wiring diagram and I didn't really understand what which one of those is supposed to be doing what. Like I said, I'm not an electrician. So that's why you talk to the professionals if you have questions. So the other thing we looked at is my little oven here with that noisy fan. Let me see if I can unclip the camera or the microphone from my hat and let you guys hear how loud this thing is. But it is really loud. So they're going to order in a new motor and fan, and because you can also see it's kind of wobbling. So not only is it noisy, but that fan is rubbing on the back of the oven. So yeah, they're going to order in a new fan, and I'm going to have to take this down, and they're going to have to pull the oven from the cabinet to replace the fan on the back, because we popped off the cap here and you can't get to it, so the oven's got to be dismounted from the cabinet to get out that motor to replace it. So we're going to get that on the schedule, and hopefully that'll get done before I'm ready to leave for Alaska. All right, let's head back out to what I actually came out here to do today, which was drill the hole in the trailer. All right, so here's the underside of the trailer. As you can see, I've already been down here a couple of times. I took out the bolts that are the self-tappers that were keeping the coroplast in place. So I'm going to pull this down and kind of show you guys what we're working with. Okay, so this is the underside, and it's already pretty dirty under here, but this is a part of the frame that we are trying not to drill in. This is the bottom side of the pass-through here. So I am pretty sure that this frame is far enough back that it is actually slightly on the other side of the pass-through wall, just based on visuals, and there's not really a good way to measure how far up that is, but it's basically right above where which makes sense, it's right above where the front stabilizers are. And so I'll show you guys where that lines up in a minute, but I've got to drill the hole here because we got to get the wires from the inverter down here so I can run them along the frame and into the trailer in the back. And then also I'm going to need to ground the whole power system to either that cross member or front part of the frame here. I haven't decided what I want to do quite yet. I'll probably just ground it to that part of the frame back there. Okay, so as you guys can see, here is the front stabilizer, and it's mounted pretty much directly under where that frame cross member is, and which lines up to about right here. And then the wall of the pass-through is about, oh, sorry, you guys can't even see me. So that frame cross member is about right here on the edge of this yellow sticker, and the wall of the pass-through is about here-ish. So we should have plenty of space to clear it, but I had to pull that down just to make sure I wasn't going to hit anything when I drill the hole. The batteries are going to be shaded more towards where the cutoff switch is. So I'm thinking I'm going to put the hole probably right here, just shaded this side of the 1-aught cables for the inverter, because the batteries, like I said, are going to be towards the cutoff switch there. And I borrowed my dad's hammer drill for this. He's got all rigid stuff because I don't own a Milwaukee hammer drill yet, and I didn't want to buy a $300 tool just for this one hole. So I'll get one of these at some point, but right now I'm just borrowing my dad's. So yeah, I think I'm going to drill the hole about right here, and that should be plenty good to clear the frame cross member there and be out of the way where I want the batteries to go. Because primarily what's going to be going through this hole, like I said, are the 2 power cables coming out of the inverter and then just coming in over here and then going straight down into the hole, and then also a couple of solar charging cables coming off of that links over there, and then I'll just route them down and into the hole to pass them through to the underside. So I think I'm going to drill the hole approximately right here. I think, yeah, about right there. Come on, brain. No going back now, guys. Okay. Now I just need to cut it out. All right, that was the vacuum part of my stick vacuum that I actually bought for the cabin in 2023. All right, got the slit cut underneath and fits like a glove. So I'm not cutting the whole hole in the underbelly. I just cut a little plus sign in the It's not, I don't know how to describe it. It's not the coroplast. So there's multiple layers of stuff under there. There's the coroplast that's attached to the frame, and then there's a gap, and then above the frame, but below this 3/4 inch plywood that makes up this flooring, there's another layer of a plastic fiber material that has insulation on the top side, and then there's another air gap, and then the flooring, because there's a gap right here, like this this second plastic sheeting material that has the insulation on it is not attached to the floor. It's just kind of hanging there. So like I said, all I did was cut a plus sign in that so I can pass cables through, and then this fits perfectly. So I'm going to screw this down, and then I think we're going to be done for today. Just use some Harbor Freight stainless steel screws. These are machine screws, but it really just needs to grab a little bit to kind of hold this thing down. So it's not gonna ugga-dugga these in too much. All right, there we go. Got my cable passer installed. See you guys next time. All right, guys, I know I said I was leaving, but I got some wire lugs that I needed, so I came back after getting lunch. You can hear I'm out of breath because this was a pain, but I fed the 4/0 cable down and mounted it to the frame. This is actually the battery cable that ran from the batteries to the smart shunt in the Micro Mini. So I'm going to make a new cable to use on the batteries on the new trailer. But this worked perfectly to be the new ground cable for the GoPlay here. So I fed it down and drilled a hole. Fortunately, I had a stainless steel bolt and a locking grabby washer that's on the back side, so hopefully that gives a good ground to the metal frame there. But yeah, this was a pain, so that's why I'm out of breath, because it basically had to do a partial sit-up inside here and get a socket wrench on both sides of that. So I'm a little tired, but let me show you what I did in the pass-through. All right, so that cable comes up from the underbelly and then mounts to this bus bar right there that I mounted right there. And then I used this little piece of cable. This was actually the inverter 4/0 cable that I used on the Micro Mini. I just cut it down and added a new lug on one side, and so that runs from that bus bar up to the ground point on the links. So every spot that has a fuse has a positive and a negative. You can see the negative bus bars on the bottom here, and in the center of both of them there is a stud that you can use to ground the whole system. So this will be the primary ground right here for the power system, and then I'll be able to ground a couple more things. Like I'm going to ground the multi-plus to that bus bar, and then possibly one solar charge controller. So that will be the grounding bus bar there, and then that grounds the whole system with some proper sized 4/0 cable this time. All right, I'm beat. I'm an old man crawling around underneath the trailer doing a partial sit-up. Also, I got crazy hair going on. But this really is the end of this day. So I'll see you guys when I come back out here. The next job is going to be running the AC wiring from the Multiplus down into the pass-through and then off into the trailer. Should be a fun job. All right, new day, new project. We are going to continue working on the electrical system. I'm going to make a ground cable for the inverter, and then we are going to start on the process of running the Marine 10.3 from the pass-through to the back of the trailer where the converter box is. I had to order more lugs because I was out of the lugs I need for this. We're gonna run this to here. That's gonna go through that hole. Okay, so it might be about that much, but I think what I'm gonna do actually is put a lug on the end of this and then come back and size it. So I'll see you guys in a sec. Alright, let's see here. It's gonna go behind all of this. And then in here and onto this stud, which I might as well take the, oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing. There we go. Take this hardware off, try not to drop it everywhere. Let's see if I can even get this on here. Okay, so right at the L in that cable there. All right, let's go cut it, and I'll be right back. All right, let's see how that did. I have extra of this wire and a whole new thing of these studs, or these lugs. So if I mess this up, I've got a little bit of extra. I might trim off a little bit of it. Yeah, because I don't like that angle coming out of there. I want it to be more straight, so I think I'll cut off another ½ inch or so, and then it'll be good. I'll put another lug on it, and we'll come back out and see if it fits. So I'm just using some 1/0 cable. It's the biggest cable you can get through this. Opening here. You might be able to get 2/0, but I think 1/0 should be fine. Perfect. Look at that, nice and mostly straight. Won't matter that much. Cool. I'm gonna put some heat shrink on this, and then we'll get it bolted up, and then we'll move to the fun part, which is the AC wiring. I know you guys are all the way in there, and I'm all the way out here, but it is hot again today. All right, we got the lugs all heat shrinked. Ooh, I'll take my sunglasses off since I'm gonna be in here for a minute. Ooh, that's a hot cable. Would help if I brought the right size socket. For that, I think this is the right size for this. Yeah, but that one, I need 14 millimeter. I can't everything just be the same size. I might have to take this little screw off right here too for the lug to fit. I had to. This bus bar, you can use the lugs, but there's also these little screws if you want to ground little wires, but with these big 4/0 lugs, I had to take 2 of the screws off. So we'll see if I have to do that for this one. I don't think I will. Sweet. All right, let's get this put in here. Cool, don't have to. All right, I forgot a piece. There's a little grabby washer that's got to go on that side of this one. External locking washer, or whatever those are called. Now this bus bar here has a cover, but I'm gonna have to modify it because I have this 4/0 cable going off the end here. So I'm gonna have to like cut off the end, but it just slips over there and then has little caps that screw onto these 2 studs to hold it in place. So I'll put that on later after I cut it up, but not today. Okay, let's tighten down this one. I'm sure there's a torque spec for all this, but I think giving it a good UGA with the hand wrench is plenty good. So the next thing I'm actually going to do while I'm down here is this right here is an Anderson cable. This came with my battery charger that I bought for my new batteries. So I'm just going to wire this up to the links right here to be a backup charger in case the Multiplus here has problems. Because then I won't have to leave it hooked up constantly. I can just plug and unplug this Anderson connector here. Should be good. And then, like I think I mentioned before, I'll have one extra space here where you don't see a fuse for a future solar charge controller. To be added later this summer probably. And you use your left hand to prop up your right arm because your shoulder hurts. All right, that's that. So that'll be my plug for the backup battery charger. Let's go take a break, and then I'm gonna start fiddling with how to run the AC wires. All right, fam, because I don't feel like crawling around under the trailer right now, I'm gonna get the first part of installing the wiring into the converter box here. I'm gonna get this done, which is I'm going to take out this 10-2 right there and take it out of the main circuit breaker, and then get this marine cable here put into the box and then into the splice. Yeah, so take that marine grade cable, put it into the converter box on one end, and then on the other end put it into the splice box, which is right here. And then I'm going to take that 10-2 cable and put it into the splice box. So that way all I've got to do is when I fish the wires is make sure that I get the wires connected in the proper spot. So we're going to do all this first. Mostly because it's hot outside and I'm tired. I've been working on this pretty much every day this week and I need a break. And so I am just going to get this done, I think, and then head home. All right, fam, hopefully you saw it in the time lapse, but we've got the splice box partially wired in. I've got the power coming in off of this 10-2 into the incoming side, and then that will go out to the inverter, and then coming back from the inverter on that side into this marine grade 10-3 and into the circuit breaker. Now I lucked out because, well, yeah, it's just the quality of this trailer is not as good as the Winnebago, but the factory totally did not pinch down this wire holder here, so I didn't have to take it out or replace it at all. Unfortunately, I don't have pliers or channel locks big enough to pinch that down right now, so I'll have to remember to bring some out before I put this back. They also didn't add any on the other cables, so I'm not sure if I'm going to add those or not in the future, but not right now. But we got everything wired in to the box here, and then, like I said, into the splice box. So like I said, I think I'm gonna call that here for today. It is a Sunday, and I kind of want to go home and relax and take a day off of working out here in the trailer, even though there's stuff to get done. We're having a big family dinner later too, because it's not Easter Sunday. I had to think for a minute. It's not Easter Sunday this week. This is the week before Easter, but my parents are going to be out of town, so we're having like a pseudo Easter Sunday dinner with a bunch of my siblings tonight. So I'm going to head back home for that, and we'll see you guys when I come back out here to the trailer. Well, we got a problem. So for some reason, they used self-tapping screws on the front part right underneath the pass-through here. That's disappointing. Why they would do that? Like maybe they saved a few cents per thing and it adds up over time, but because now I'm gonna have to do a bunch more work, and there's not really any way for me to get those wires back to the converter panel other than going through the underbelly.